Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and want to thank you so much for joining this not this Saturday, this Thursday evening, Thursday the 13th of the 4th, 2023. I want to thank you those for joining in, those coming in on Facebook, those coming in on YouTube, and just want to say welcome to this beautiful, beautiful. What should I say? Beautiful Thursday evening. I believe that every day is a beautiful day, and it's for us to make it and to take it to the next level. What can I say? I'm just bringing Sir Garry Graham. How are you, Sir Garry Graham?
Not doing too badly at all, my friend. It's great to be a part of the Sylbourne Sydial show once more.
So
You're
you're
taking
doing
it to
good,
higher heights, man. You're taking it to higher heights.
taking it to the higher heights, and as I said, deeper depths. You know, um, before I came in today, I was doing my cell group with my church with some men, pastors and some men, and one of the things that came out was these words: "I know the plans I have for you." I know I have
Okay.
the plans for you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what do you have to say about the plans that I have for you? The plans God has for us.
Well, plans and thoughts of prosperity, of protection, of provision, of everything, really.
Yeah, I think that is very important because the way our society is going on now, we've got to make sure that we have things planned for ourselves, or having the mind of Christ. And you see, there's so many people. As somebody was saying to me, contact me from Jamaica, and he said, "Boy, city, everybody's going on the wide path. Everybody's so open. Everybody want to do everything." And he said, "Boy, I'm staying on the narrow path, narrow and straight path." You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
everybody's trying to somehow try to be, what they try to say, try to be relevant.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
have to be. We have to be very, very relevant in the
you
world
know,
in which we live today.
you know. So yeah. So anyway, I I was thinking before I go on to the Good Friday thing, but what I always like to say, what do you see the week as, or what maybe comes striking for the week? What seemed to be striking for the week so far, for this week, or what seemed to be the main issue or the main topic?
Well, what I think is being kept under under wraps, really. If you and I'm sure there is a great section of the population, at least let us say for the United Kingdom here,
Yeah,
who are seeing it. Not well. I haven't heard anything at all being said on the news, BBC ITV Channel 4, Sky News. I haven't heard anything either on CNN or Al Jazeera or those newscasters. But I think I believe what is really bubbling up very much is the family trouble that's happening in amongst the siblings, and that's with um, King Charles and with Andrew. I
Mm,
think that's bubbling because it has been said that Andrew is not very happy with what King Charles now the third is wanting him to do to vacate the home or the house that he's living in, 30 million
yeah,
pound house. Now it would seem that the inheritance of the queen, whatever she left, even though it's been given to the king, and rightly so to some extent, but Andrew, Edward, I'm quite sure, Anne is
mm,
also wanting a piece of the action as far as inheritance is concerned,
mm,
and King Charles is not playing ball with them. He's keeping all of that for himself. So I think there is trouble brewing. It's not only Harry. Now, I'm with Harry. I mean, I will stand with Harry.
yes.
I think they're using Harry as a smoke screen, so to speak, to kind of hide everything else that's happening within the family. Now, that's my thoughts. I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know what any of your listeners or anybody else would think, but I think that they're using Harry as a scapegoat so as to
mm.
hide what may be brewing with his brothers as well as his sister.
So what we're talking about is that there need to be some houses which they are planning to give out or something like that. Should we then
Well,
try to get some for the Windrush people?
I don't know Sylbourne, but it's I think it's unique because um Andrew, he's not getting any money from the public purse, is he? I don't think he's getting anything. Whatever money he received he was getting it from the Queen, his mother, while she was alive. Now it would
Yes,
seem that Charles is not willing to do what his mother did for her
yes.
children. Obviously, it is said. I don't know if I am correct on this, but it is said that Andrew was her favorite child.
Okay. I am my
That is what's been said. Now, I don't know if that is true, but I've heard that Andrew was her favorite. If it was, then we can understand why, when he got into so much trouble with Epstein, if you remember him,
yes.
and the lawsuits and the courts that were
I I I don't I don't remember being involved with Epstein, but I read the article. Yes.
well, I'll be very surprised if you were involved with Epstein, knowing that you've got many links to many people, and I'm sure Epstein would be maybe one of the many threads that you have hanging on. But seriously, I think that with what was happening with Andrew, obviously we all know and we were all told that Andrew was, let us use the word, this term for a better term, demoted. He was
Yes.
taken out from many of the royal shows or
Mm,
privileges that he was involved in. The queen took these things away from him.
yes.
So with
Yes.
the queen not around now and his elder brother coming into play, probably it's time now that he just that he pays his dues really.
Yeah.
There's no mercy. I don't think Charles really looks like he's one to really exact mercy on anyone. He may be he may be the wicked godfather. We just don't know.
Well, definitely, as I said before, and I'll say it again, if he's going to give some houses to the Windrush generation, then I'm sure people will not be opposed to that. But I want to welcome Michelle, and also welcome um, IC IC3 Black, and also Realist Doll for those on Instagram as well. It's while we're still on the Queen, while we're still on the King and the Queens too, we can also just finish this bit here. I wasn't going to talk about it, but we can talk about that. Is that your friend Harry is going to be in the UK? He's coming over for the coronation, but his wife is going to stay in California, and and maybe just or one of her children birthday as well is going to conflict with the king, you know. So I think what they're trying to do is trying to balance the whole book, or so. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a big deal for me really, whether they come or not, you know. But he's gonna come for his dad, to support his dad, the king. So so that's it. That's the biggest. That's the big news, because I think he has been coming over for some cases as well. Some of the persons who are political, or what should I say, royal watchers, are saying that Meghan is going to be doing something to upstage the king on the day as well. You know, but what are you, what are you going to have a big lunch or so? Many people are having big lunches for the King Charles.
No, I mean, number one,
Yeah.
addressing what you just mentioned there. I don't
Mm.
think Meghan is going to do anything. I mean, Meghan, if Harry turns up, why would Meghan want to do something to harm her husband? Which, of course, it seems that she has never sought to do that. You see, people just want to. There are certain people that just wants to bring hype and excitement to something that really is not there. And I don't think if Harry comes to his father's coronation, will
Mm.
she do anything to upstage him, Harry, knowing what Harry is having to go through,
Yes.
knowing that fully well? I don't think that Meghan will do anything like that. If she does, then it's surprising. It is
I
very
yeah.
surprising.
I totally agree as well. I don't think she's gonna be doing anything as well in regards to that. But as usual, my philosophical saying is that um you know, who cares, Gary? Okay,
I
you know.
don't think. Well, I don't think. Still, I don't think we should be pandering to even give these guys mention. But
Yes,
by the very fact that you mentioned it, and then we've had to say something regarding that, we're giving them too much airtime already.
yes, yes. Okay. Moving on. Moving on from your good mate, Harry. Um, the Good Friday Agreement. That's been one of the biggest thing which has been going on around for this week, because we had the big boss came into the UK recently, and that is Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is the coolest dude around, the coolest dude, man. So I didn't have any picture of him, but Joe Biden just run up on the plane, and he just have on his glasses, and he's just so cool, you know. What
And you like that, don't you? I mean, you
whatever
like
I've
being
said,
stupid.
whatever I've sense or not, it's just cool, you know what I mean? Even though he made a big gaff at the in the pub in Ireland when he was you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah, cool, cool, man,
cool,
cool, cool.
cool, cool. I like that. You know, um, even though he made a big gaff there, but I think at the same time, no disrespect to Biden, I think it is good having a sort of coolness at the same time. Sometimes the erratic nature can be a bit crazy. And of recent days, I think they just found the guy who was leaking a lot of political stuff from the CIA or FBI or whatever like that in America. They just found some Texas guy was doing that, and I think sometimes it's good to have that cool head around Gary. Um, and that's why I believe that I know many people or some people want Trump to come back. I just think maybe the time for Trump is not even now, but is to have some sort of cool head which is there. And there's a lady who I think who is being considered, and people are saying that she should run, is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, that lady there, she's an independent. She left the Democrats. She's a very good, safe, I believe, pair of hands. But the Good Friday Agreement, which is something that the there's a picture there which when it happened, the Prime Minister at the time, Tony Blair, and then Irish Prime Minister Bertie Ahern signed the Good Friday Agreement. That was something which was special, and it is one of the hallmarks of what should I say, Tony Blair, and also one of the hallmarks of Clinton as well during the period of that time there. And I think And what they're saying is that they need to sort of keep this thing going, keep the whole thing going, because almost 25 years ago, what they're saying, and it was, what was it, 10th of April, that was when the Good Friday Agreement was signed, historical deal, which will be commemorated in a series of events. And it's going to be in April with Joe Biden is going to be around, Bill Clinton is going to be around, both set to visit Northern Ireland to mark the anniversary as well. Um, what do you think about? You see, when you hear about these things, and for the UK and the big thing, how do you think it pans out for us or as a nation?
About what? In
The, the
regards
good
to what?
the Good Friday Agreement, and especially for the Black community, sometimes, does it make any sense to us?
Has the Good Friday Agreement ever done anything for you?
Has it done anything? Well, I think you got to look at the bigger picture, because when I came to the UK, Gary, I recall in London one time, I came 92, and there was a parcel in a phone booth, and people were sort of moving away from it. And I think I was one of the persons who also called it in and so like that. But and the person was saying, "Can you go closer to the bag?" I said, "Are you crazy going closer to the bag?" So therefore, we were living in a period of time, and I believe as I came into the UK, whereby bombs would go off and they would give you coded warnings, Gary. So therefore, in a sense, the Good Friday Agreement and this sort of agreement had a play in making it much safer for those in the UK. So it may not maybe directly impact somebody, but indirectly it had an impact to sort of secure this sort of agreement. Wouldn't you say so? Or wouldn't people say so as well?
I don't know if the I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't know if the Good Friday Agreement did anything for Black people anyway. I don't know. I
Uh,
don't know how much it would have affected us. It was only there for commerce and for business reasons, really, which was set up and and orchestrated by the Labour Party, which was headed at that time by Tony Blair.
yeah,
But it was also to bring some kind of peace to Northern Ireland anyway, Sylbourne. I don't think
yeah,
I don't think for us as a Black community,
yeah,
and I don't know how large the Black community is in Northern Ireland or in
yeah.
Ireland per se, but there must be a Black community there. But did it help them? I don't know.
You see, you
I
see,
can't say
Gary,
anything.
yeah,
But for
you see,
us on the
yeah,
mainland, did it bother us? Did it affect us? I don't think it did.
Gary, the fundamental point is this, and this is the point which I raise, and I'm gonna raise that point again. And the point is this, and it is very set out very clearly here, is that the Good Friday Agreement, also known as the Belfast Agreement, was a political deal designed to bring an end to 30 years of violent conflict in Northern Ireland, known as the Troubles. But the Troubles in Northern Ireland also had an impact upon mainland UK. Remember,
Well,
remember they
yes.
tried.
Oh, no, no, well, okay. Let me just make one a bit silly. It made an
Yeah,
impact on the mainland. Why? It made and how? It made an impact on the mainland only
mm,
for the basic reason is and was and still is that there'll be no more bombing on the mainland. There
yeah,
was a lot of killing. There was a lot of bombs going off in central London. There was one big one that happened in Birmingham, as you know very well, in the
yeah,
probably the mid 60s and such, which the famous five, if that is the same people that were jailed and whatever. Now, I
yeah,
mean, that's the only reason. I mean, as far as Black people are concerned, it hasn't affected us. It's done
mm,
nothing for me.
mm.
Why am I going to sit down here and talk about the Northern Ireland Agreement for? In what way has it affected me? It hasn't
So,
affected me. It's done nothing for me.
so,
It's
so
done
there,
nothing.
so therefore, you're actually saying then that acknowledging it, yes, but dwelling on it makes no big deal for the average black person within the UK.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Let's swing it around the other way now.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
talk about black people being set upon, black and black, or black people, or racism against, or against the black man in the UK. How has it affected the Northern Islanders,
Mm.
or even Ireland? Has it affected them?
Um. No, I'm gonna.
No, no. Tell me, has it affected them?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it has affected them. I don't
No,
think.
exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever has been set up for the Northern Ireland Agreement, I'm not against it, because
Yes.
obviously there has been some noticeable effect. Yes, trade, commerce. There's been a bit more peace, even though in the last probably 6 months, a
Mm.
year, probably a year and a half, you
Yeah.
know, um, once or twice, probably policemen have been shot at. Even more recent, a Northern Ireland police officer, I think it was a detective or whatever it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
with his son playing football, was set upon. I don't know if I don't think he's died. I don't think he has died. He was shot quite a
Mm.
few times.
Mm.
But yes, that has happened. And from what we have been told, right, even up until the point when we were told that Biden is going to Northern Ireland, we are then told that there have been skirmishes here and there. Well, all of a sudden that happened.
Mm.
All
Mm.
of a sudden, Biden can't walk around because, whereas
Well,
before he
Biden,
came,
Biden cannot walk properly.
yeah. Now, up until that point, nothing's happened. As far as we are concerned, there was nothing happening there apart from the police officer that was shot
Yes.
and such. Then all of a sudden, when the president is coming, he can't walk because there's a high level that he may be shot at or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these things are just put in place to frighten people.
Mm.
I don't know why they keep doing things like that. Nothing has happened. Come to Ireland, come to Northern Ireland. It's great there. Come and live, come
Yes.
and have a holiday. But as soon as someone as big as Biden comes, you can't come because you know
Yes. Mm.
it's a murderation out there. I mean, all of these things, it's not fair. It's not fair,
Yeah.
and it has no effect on us. It has no effect on us,
Mm.
on me, on black people. I'm talking about. I don't see it anyway.
Yeah. So therefore, as you said it there, it has no impact or no bearing upon black people. As I said, I kept going back to the mainland UK bit, and you said, okay, yes, it did have an impact whereby it stemmed Northern Ireland and the groups trying to get some sort of decision from number 10 or so. So they put these coded warnings and they bomb different areas. They tried to kill Margaret Thatcher and the Tories, remember, at that time as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I'm sure
yes.
many people, were for that. But anyway, I guess it is something which is ceremonial at this point, and I show that the Northern Ireland and those guys will come together and try to form something at Stormont or so, because right now there is not an effective thing. But there is something that people picked up on though, was Biden and the way how we actually, they said he pushed aside Rishi Sunak at one point in one of the, when they met or so, and it's like Rishi Sunak doesn't stand up, or he doesn't command that sort of strong presence there at the same time.
Well, again, it was said, I
Mm.
mean, again, it came out really at the last moment that Biden says that he doesn't like England, or he doesn't like the UK. I mean, where that come from?
Yeah.
Really, where does that come from? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's just trying to create
Yeah.
news. That's what they do. They're trying to
Yeah.
create news.
I think at the same time there's so much non-news around. And I remember Paul Lawrence one time, he had something, the late Paul Lawrence, he said the on something about the unknown news, or I forget what it was called, the news which is not known, or the news which nobody wants to hear, which sometimes is the good news or so. And at the same time there was something which I saw, And I just want to bring this up and show this image of this little boy, because this is something which is dear to us and close to our heart. This little boy with a big machete in his trousers. And at the same time, there was a petition which is going around saying that, you know, police should stop searching the kids without the parents' permission. But when you see this particular case and the video which I'm going to show you now, one would say, now, when do you call the parents? What should the police do in the meantime? Was this boy carrying the machete or whatever for somebody else? And it was very concerning. And I'm going to sort of, if I can actually find it, I'm going to look for it, and I'm going to actually play this video here. Just 1 second there. Today's what? The 13th of the 4th. Let me see if I can find it. All right.
Harry?
Oh, fucking hell.
At the moment, you're under arrest, alright? Possession of an offensive weapon. You have to say
I had your good friend. I had a bag.
Fucking hell. Look.
I had your good. What did you say? Right? Reason for the arrest is we've searched you. I got this on you, alright?
You're good heads.
I could drive.
Okay, not record.
What's your problem?
Not record. That's my bridging. Don't record.
What's your problem?
Don't record him.
What are you recording him for?
Because that's my bridging. I can do that. I know
don't give
him.
a fuck. I mean,
I
the
know
public.
him.
Oh, I don't give a.
You
What do you
can't
mean?
do that. I
What do
know
you mean?
him. I
What do
know
you
him.
mean?
That's my boy. You can't.
I don't give a
record
fuck. Who's your boy?
I'll just turn off the volume there, because it shows right there what we're seeing there, Gary. And if I just show the big machete. Yeah. When you see that, what do you think, Gary?
It's frightening, man. If that is almost as long as his leg. I mean, how was he able to walk or even run? We don't really know how they caught up with him. Or again, was he snitched? Because why would they hold on to him? You know, what gave him away? What did they see? Why they stopped him? Was he acting or running or looking suspicious? Because I'm sure that there are many other guys on the streets that are carrying something just as big or even longer than that. I mean, that is the frightening thing about it, Sil, is that these things are on the streets. Now, I can understand with the petition going around to say that the police should not be allowed to search on the 18s. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
on the 18s. But at the same time, you know, where are the parents for these boys? Where are they? I mean, is this child, and I'm saying child because I really don't know how old he is. I mean, there are some children who there are some people who look like they've just broken the teen barrier. When I say the teen barrier, I mean probably 11, 12.
Yeah.
And they're really 20, 21. Is you know, it's frightening. But he looks like a young guy. He looks like a young guy. He looks like he should be in school. But what's he doing? What is he doing on the street with that down his leg?
Well, the interesting thing, when you actually look at him and look in his face, it would look as if to say, well, okay, he's frightened and he's scared, but one wonders if he was actually given it to be taken somewhere.
Well, again, that could be another scenario. He could have been asked to carry that somewhere, you know, and he's afraid now. I can see the fear in his face, because if he says anything, he's dead. If he's carrying that for somebody, right, he can't open his mouth,
Snitch.
can't say a word. This guy cannot say
Can't do the snitch thing.
because if he talks, then he's finished, mate. He might as well, move to another city or another country.
Well, as what Empower TV Network says, unfortunately, unscrupulous people will take advantage of the young to avoid arrest. I remember this film, which was in Jamaica, called I forget what his name is. It's Paul Campbell was the police officer in the show, and it says this boy was saying box juice or sky juice, sky no, saying red stripe, red stripe, red stripe, red stripe, and was going around and saying red stripe. And they said, why do you keep saying red stripe? And it turned out red stripe was a signal, say police in area. Yeah,
Okay,
police
yeah,
in
red
area. The guy
stripe.
was saying red stripe, red stripe. And
Okay.
and this is what is happening now, because sometimes they say little girls carry weapons or so. They hide weapons at different places. But the interesting thing about the petition is saying thousands of children are being strip searched, not even into double digits years of age, with black children 6 times more likely to be strip searched, according to the Children's Commissioner. Unbelievable. You know, what the petition is actually saying is that they should not be searched without parental consent. How would you do that now in a case like this? Because more than likely the police have got a tip, or maybe they did a random search
Well,
and
that
they've got the
could,
goods. What
you
do you
see,
do? Wait?
again,
Yeah.
I mean, the thought came to me, is he a known suspect? Not unless he's known to be someone who's caused a problem already. So all of that has to be in the workings. Is he known already?
Yeah.
Or have they been, has there been an active surveillance on him? Or yeah, is he moving around with certain individuals that
Mm.
are suspect? Not so much him, but they just feel that at this moment in time, he's got something on him that the others haven't got and just left him. Because if you notice, if you go back on the reel, the almost at the very beginning, you will see where he hasn't got a shoe. He hasn't got a shoe on one of his feet. So obviously, there it is. So obviously, they run him down. He was on the
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, he was on the run.
So what we are seeing is just a snippet of maybe a bigger thing as well
Yes.
at the same
What we're
time.
seeing is just the aftermath of
But
of what was happened before.
what would we say, and what would people say then about the parental consent? What should the police do then in a situation like that?
Well, what can the police do? I
Can they
mean,
wait?
are they listen? Are they going to then just let him go because they can't search him? What would you do
Uh,
if you knew that there was a law you cannot search a guy who is under 18? Okay, fine.
yes.
Yeah, you suspect that he has a knife, right, or a shovel,
Yes.
as
Yes.
bigger than his leg. Okay, but you can't touch him. However, if you do arrest him, you can't search him. You do arrest him. He's not answering you. He's not answering any of the questions because he knows, as the police have said, that whatever you say will be noted and taken down as evidence against you. Right? He's not saying nothing. You can't get anything from him. What are you going to do? Let him go?
And he doesn't want to snitch on his mates then.
He's not going to snitch. So are you going to let him go, Sylbourne?
Mm.
No, really. Answer me. Would you let him go
No,
knowing that he has an offensive
no,
weapon?
no,
Are you
you
going to
can't.
let him go? So
You can't let him.
what is the police to do?
Yeah. The Casey report talks about the homophobia, not the homophobia, but the institutional racism within the police force at the same time. And that is something that they are struggling with, and that is something that the police is actually talking about, where they're saying that they need to be able to do their jobs, because if they can't get to do their job, you know, this is going to keep happening. And the question is, and I would love to hear, and I'm going to try to find out some more as to what the activists are actually saying in regard to the stop and search, because I saw the petition and last week it was 400 and something people signed, and today it is 500, just over 500 in
You
regard to the
see,
petition.
you see the thing about it, my friend. The police is between a rock and a hard place. Even though, yes, there is so much against them, and
Yes.
obviously you're gonna find the policemen, a few policemen that really want to do their best for the
Mm,
community, for that they're in society.
yeah.
But there's so many crooked thief in policemen.
Well, the commissioner said that. The commissioner said that he needs to clear it out, and and last week I believe we spoke where the commissioner said, "I need the powers. I need the powers to be able to sack some of these guys, but they're going to go through all the different forces have different structure in order how they sack persons and blah blah blah. But that's what the police commissioner is actually saying. Someone just said a possible solution is only strip searches should be required parental consent. So instead of like that, that's not a strip search, but he's on the street still at the same time. But it's not a strip search, but they search him. Um, you know, but for the strip searches, especially like what was happening with the girls, when these officers, as some people say, it's pedophilia to a certain extent when they try to search the girls and so like that. That is supposed to be with parental consent. I totally agree with that because for that to happen, you're not going to do that on the street. Police officers should not do that on the street. They more than likely do that in the police station, and by being in the police station, that is where parental consent should be, and they will call the parents in as well.
I don't know, Sheila. It's just sad. It's just sad. The shops who are selling these things, Amazon, all of these places are selling them. There should be a law against the sale of these things. Just
Mm.
like how you have to show
ID.
ID for particular things, you have to. I believe there should be, even if you're a chef,
Yeah.
right? And I know that in the restaurants and places where meat is cut or whatever, that you've got to have implements like these. But even then, the businesses, the chefs, those who use them should be authorized to buy them, to stock them, to put them
Mm.
away. There should be some some guidelines of how these things are bought and put up.
Listen, I get into trouble still when I go to the shop and might get a wine because they try to work out my age. The thing flashes up and they can't believe I'm over 16. So I have to always check out my ID, you know. So I still have a little ping that comes up, you know. And I said to the guys, "Do you believe me?" And they said, "No, I don't believe you. Show me your ID." Of course, they're joking still, you know what I'm saying? So in simple cases like that, one has to show your ID when you go to the supermarket now for drinks, for alcohol or any sort of alcohol. And I think I'm trying to remember what else. If you go to Selco to buy bleach, to buy these drainage, I forget what they call it, the drainage thing that you pour into the toilet or your
Yes, yeah,
sink or whatever. You have to get approval for it. They won't let you send it to you just like that because of the fact that few people have been thrown acid has been thrown on persons,
yes,
you know.
yes.
So I'm sure that knives and so they have made some restrictions on these things, but I'm sure that there are different ways how people can get it as well. Um, but the key thing is that they're using some of these children as guinea pig. I was watching something earlier about county lines as well, where that is still flourishing in a sense. Um, and of course, these things will flourish whenever there is destitution, where there's poverty, and things are getting a bit hard for people at the same time. But I think one of the good news is that the supermarkets are at war with themselves now. And when the supermarkets are at war with themselves, things are going to go down because I think one supermarket said they are taking off 10p or so of milk or whatever, but they're actually starting the war because they're saying they're benefiting from some of the savings now. You know, at the time when Ukraine was going on with what they're doing with Russia, things went up I'm very curious to find out what is going to happen now, what is happening now, what is the situation with oil, with these things going down. Will they reflect and drop my orange juice back from 85p to 55p?
Listen, I mean, it's terrible, because I go to Asda and I like to drink like the real orange juice with bits and grape juice
Yeah.
and apple juice and these things, apple and
Mm,
mango. Right? I love the pure juice, not
yes.
concentrate. I don't like that. And I remember when they first came out, this is about 2-3 years back,
Mm,
they were 80 odd pence for one. 80
wow.
odd pence. Now they're £1 30 odd. I mean, it's just ludicrous, man. It's absolutely terrible. And they blame that because on the war in Ukraine.
Yes. Yes. They they blame that so much, and things like that. I in our last bit there, I was looking at, there's a big thing going on in Jamaica now, and it reflects over here as well. Talks about the king and removing the king as the head of state. They've been talking about that for like what, 55,000 years now, or 50, or 53,000 years now. The king as the head of state, it was the queen as head of state, and I think they are in the process of doing that now because Malahu fought. She is the minister which is responsibility for that, and this is something that I want to actually, not going to talk about now, but just quickly talk about it. But I want to do some programs on that, and and there you can see the prime minister with the team of persons. Let me see, suppose we're 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What 13 or 14 or so. These persons are supposed to be with responsibility for Jamaica to become a republic,
Mm.
right? Prime Minister Andrew Holness has set out the 14-member Constitutional Reform Committee as the country moved toward Republican status. And I just did a quick little. Well, first of all, what do you think about that? Why I struggle a bit is because, is it depending on where you're from, you may have an interest. If you're from Jamaica, you definitely may have an interest, or you may not have an interest. If you're from overseas, you definitely have an interest, or you may not have an interest, or so. But I was looking at some of the comments that came through on Facilitators for Better Jamaica, which is a group which I had formed some years ago. And it was interesting by some of the comments that people made. Like one said, fraudulent and irrelevant. You know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
another person said they should add 14 more members to the committee from a wider cross section of the Jamaican populace. And somebody said, imagine now Jamaica can barely function alone, and now they want to be a republic. Here comes dictatorship. Somebody said, about time. Another person, republic or not, I'm not interested. There's nothing to gain or lose. No better herring, no better barrel. I'll go to one more person. If the country moves to be a republic, who will be the president, the PM, or the GG? If not, who will nominate the president? What do you think about this? And what do you think it is something that is worth to navigate, especially by people overseas or so? Do people from overseas see things with a different spec than those persons back home in Jamaica as well?
I think let us say, and if you widen it out to other countries and other citizens of other countries, those who travel will always have a different perspective, a
Mm,
different outlook to those who never travel but remain in the country of origin.
yeah.
So, and even those who do travel but remain in their place of residence of where they were born, even they themselves have a different outlook on things than those who have never traveled but remain, um, if we can use for a better term, remain in their place of birth
Yes.
or their place of origin. They will always, and I do think that people who live outside, in particular Jamaican, people who live outside of Jamaica will always see a different way of life and aspect of living and lifestyle to how other people in Jamaica who have never traveled will view life and view a way, even politically. I mean, it doesn't matter where you live, Australia, in Hong Kong, in Europe, in the UK, in Canada, in America, in South
Yeah.
America, even in other areas of the Caribbean. You know, you will always, we may not always see the same thing and agree on the same thing in one way, but we will always see things differently. So even those in Jamaica now who are making policy, right? Even though they may think that Jamaica should, let's say for argument's sake, and I'm sure you may have said it or you're alluding to it, where the government has said, well, they want to take the country into republic kind of political setting. Now, why do they want that? I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong, but let's look at it. Why do they want that? Because is it because they will have more power, more influence? Is it because they will have more of a say of what really happens in the country? Because outside of Jamaica,
Yeah.
Jamaicans outside, now I'm not saying that the majority are going to think that way, but let's just say there may be a few outside of Jamaica who may say, no, don't go that way. Don't become a republic. It's not going to help. You know, and those within the country now who's never traveled, they're not going to know what they're not going to really know the difference. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
they don't outside of
Yeah.
Jamaica knows what's right, but those who have traveled, let's say they will have more experience in the way of life
Mm.
wherever they have lived than those who have just stayed in the hills, let's say in the hills of Clarendon, who
Yes.
don't not outside of Maypen. You
You,
know what
you
I
see,
mean?
you see, you see, one person who said it. Hi, Barbara. One person who said it said, I live in the USA and I left Jamaica in 1976. Interesting. And are the citizens in Jamaica aware of what this really means? And is their vote taken to ensure their support?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Before a task force invest time and money, what is the charter? What could be spent to improve things that are more of a priority, such as crime, wages, jobs, etc.? Shouldn't the people have a referendum on this? Well, I can say based on the constitution, they will need to be a referendum. I'm not up on Jamaican politics, so no judgment here. Just trying to understand the process, and I believe, and I read that and I believe that that is what is happening. And I keep saying sometimes, because sometimes people in the diaspora overseas sometimes get crucified and criticized by people back home to say that we're not there, but we're trying to have an influence and try to to impact Jamaica when we're not living there. At the same time, Gary.
No, and I think that is why there will always be conflict of minds and of thinking. Those, okay, look at it like this now. Those who are in the political sphere, when they hear of those who are outside of Jamaica, they will say, listen, we need to hear your voice. We need this because you have the money. You may have the money, you may not, but you're the one that's keeping the currency going and the foreign exchange going. So we need your input. But once they get our input, right, they're saying, well, you don't really know what's happening back home here, so you shouldn't really be saying anything. Then you have those in Jamaica that's who's never traveled. They don't know which way to go because they've been told that, you know, to take the public into, to take the country into the political arena of being a republic,
Yes.
they don't know what it is. So they are going to be told one thing.
Mm.
They're going to be told one thing. You have
Well,
those again who have
yeah.
lived in the country, but they're able to travel. To them,
Mm.
some of them, they don't really care as long as they're able to travel.
Yeah.
That is the thing. They live there, they may have business or they may be retired, so they're living a good life. All they're really worried about, don't restrict my movement.
Yeah.
I want to
But
travel.
yeah. Well, one more person said that Jamaica is not a Barbados, and the bro god is not me. I'm more Motley. You know, he's bro god. You know, who's bro god. You know, his bro
That
god.
is the prime minister, isn't it?
That's
That's
the
the
prime
prime
minister.
minister.
Yeah, prime minister. At present, crime is very high. Economic deprivation is rife, and the working and lower middle classes need support. The land of food and water does not have the leadership nor capacity to become a republic without great support. And the person said, I've listened to many lectures from UWI, including the respected historian Sir Hilary Beckles, and still have come to the conclusion Jamaica is still not quite yet ready. No matter how much we like it to be, we just have too many ducks barking out their own tune and not in alignment. One big bashment. When I hear that, it is two things. Are we not? When are we? When is a nation going to be ready to go off on their own? And Gary, with any child or so, they'll have their parents, and they will learn to creep and walk. And after a while, they're going to make some moves that you can't really stop them from doing. But you have to let them go. They might make the mistakes and come back. And Jamaica, which they say is an independent nation, and I've always said it before to the dislike of many when I said I don't celebrate 1962 as any Independence Day, because if the king or the queen is still king is still a head of state, then how can you deem to be independent? Now I can understand it's a process of being independent. Jamaica is in the process of being independent, and therefore this is the final notch into gaining ultimate independence, but not as the independence as how Barbados got it. Because Barbados is one of those more ceremonial. It's got to go further and further away. And that is why I'm going to be doing some series on this whole thing with the Republic status and the discussions on it from a diaspora perspective. And I'm going to have audience with Marley Malahufo. She's a minister, a friend of mine, and I'm going to actually have the opposition person to talk about it. Going to try to get some different students and hear person say from the diaspora as well to see um, how we can navigate the country. Because Gary, one of the things that we have been saying all the while is that when these leaders of today make these decisions, they might not be around in the next 5 years, and they're gone, and they mash up the place.
Well, you see, what we seem to always forget,
Yes.
and it is known in Jamaica because, and it's known among Jamaicans, we always forget, and we forget very quickly
Yes.
of within 8 years. I think it's every 4 or 5 years that there is elections, yeah, and
Yes.
so it's more often than not that if the PNP goes in, they're there for 2 terms, or if
Yes.
it's JLP, they're in for 2 terms, and then they
When
change
they say,
hands. So,
well, according to sources, they say they want the jail people to be there for the next 20 years.
well, I don't know about that, but what it is to me is that we seem to forget every time what happens.
Mm.
It's sad that it's gotten to this. When the best times, and I wasn't alive then. I wasn't alive. I wasn't born then, but it would seem the best time for Jamaica under this political system was when Norman Manley and Bustamante were were in power or in league
Yeah.
together, and they were cousins. I mean, one was PNP, one was JLP, but they were cousins.
You
But
mean,
they seem to be. That's to me. Those were the best days. It would seem, and I was not alive. And
yeah.
again, there must be others out there there may be others out there that may agree and may
Yeah.
disagree. That's fine.
The
Disagree
the
as
the
much as you want, because
the the,
again,
the,
I was not around.
dreadlocks
But
will definitely disagree. You know why the
well,
dreadlocks will disagree?
well,
Because Bustamante said at one point, what him say? Him say what? What him say? Dead or alive? Dead or alive? And I'm not and I joke my dead or alive. You bring in the Rastaman them and stuff like that, you know. So that's going to be something else as well that we're going to look at as well eventually. But of course, I try to give the balance in different things because I try not to
I
rain too
believe
much. Huh?
I believe that there was a time, and again,
Yes.
I could be wrong, because again, I was very young.
You keep saying that you're very young, Gary. You're still young. You
I
keep
was
doing
young. I'm still young, but I was even younger then.
yeah.
But I believe, right, that if anyway, it will always remain a big if, because
Yes.
probably it would never have happened anyway. But if Michael Manley, who I believe was a very charismatic leader, very
We have
charismatic,
to feed the people fundamentally for the first time at last. And
very charismatic, and the people
Siaga would
loved
say, "Money shot jingle in your pocket." Sorry,
um,
sorry,
people
Gary.
loved him. People loved him. But if Siaga, who was then at that point in time acclaimed the world over to
Mm,
be um, a finance guru,
yeah.
and to many he was a finance thief too for many. But if he was the minister of finance and Manley was the
Mm,
prime minister, I don't think there's any country in this world that could touch Jamaica.
yes.
But you see, because of who men are,
Mm,
of humanity, stubborn and just want to have their own way, and you can't talk to certain people.
yes.
And it was felt that Manley was a very stubborn individual, very
Mm,
tough-headed,
mm,
and so was Man, and so was Siaga.
yes.
Even though behind the scenes it is felt that they were very good friends, because we know
Listen,
politicians are friends.
listen,
It's
listen.
only that in the public they have to present another face, because they are talking and defending two
Yes,
ideologically
yes.
different political ideals.
Well, you're right on one thing. And before we wrap up, that most politicians they are mates and they're good friends. And I listened to, I think it was this week. Is it this week? Yes, this week. There's a member of parliament. His name is Daryl Vaz, and he's a minister of in the government. And he made it very clear that we all, some of these guys are my friends, my good friends. They're on the other side. You know, we are godfathers and godchildren. You know,
Yeah,
they all
yeah,
link up together. And I always say, it's many years ago when I was growing up in Jamaica, I used to always say it's all very interesting how the people are fighting each other. And yet at the same time, there's a newspaper called The Flare. And the Flare and the Gleaner always showed the guys uptown linking up and having drinks. The same Siaga and Manley, the same different guys, and they're all mates. But at the same time, one has to keep the status quo as if there's war. And I never forget one time I was in court and there's a case, and the case was going on whereby the mother got upset. One of the parties got upset because all the lawyers were all talking and having a laugh, and she was annoyed by the lawyers were laughing. Why the lawyers laughing? And she thought they were laughing at her. And she says to the judge, "They're all laughing at me." And the judge was laughing with us actually because we were in court and we're finished. And the, the mother got upset, and the judge had to say, "No, we're not." You know what I mean? And blah blah blah. So therefore, there's a status quo like you need to actually be seen fighting, which is really unfortunate as well, Gary. But anyway,
yeah,
you,
yeah. That is the sad thing about it. They have
yeah,
to be seen as if they're at each other's throats,
yes,
when in actual fact they are not.
they're not.
They are
No,
not. They
Yeah.
are friends.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it too, Sil, is that I mean, I used to walk to and from school. I mean,
Mm,
I went to Arden of Hope Road there, and I used to walk past Siaga's house, dwelling place every day, and
mm.
almost every other day or so, I would see Siaga driving. He never have
No green.
bodyguard around him.
I know
He would
green.
drive himself,
Mm,
and we used to wave, and I used to wave back to him.
yeah.
He was a very as far as we could
Mm,
see as children, a
mm,
very approachable guy.
yeah.
So Jamaica was never always as bad as what it's been claimed to be today.
Mm,
Even though Jamaica's had some harsh times,
yes.
dangerous times,
Mm,
but Jamaica really has seen some good days, and it's just a pity that Jamaica has gone the way how it is gone now, that it
yes.
would seem that people can't walk and seem, I'm saying
Mm.
seem, because what we are hearing on this side of the pond is that, hell is down there.
And sometimes, Gary, that's not the case.
And
But
sometimes that is not exactly.
so yeah,
Sometimes that is not the case at all.
yeah, I'm sure you speak to somebody else and they say that's not the case as well. But there are issues to be addressed, And so yeah, so as I said, I'm gonna follow up and do some interviews and some sit down one to one on the whole issue regarding the constitution to look at things from an empowering educational angle. That's the most important thing I want to say. Empowering educational angle, and to try to find solutions as much as possible to support the diaspora as well. All right, Gary, all the
Yes,
best.
Bob.
So you're gonna
Thank
you're
you
gonna
so
check out,
much.
yeah, you're gonna check out Biden. You're gonna hang out with Biden later. Biden don't. You're gonna drive
Well,
down to check Biden.
I was going to say something, I was going to say, have you, well, probably we could do it next week, but have
Yeah.
you, would I be able to share something?
Yes.
Could you give permission on your side there for me to share something on what I have, what I've seen, what somebody sent to me, what happened in the state of Florida some time back?
Oh yes, Gary. It's your show, man.
Let me
You
see
want it
if
for
I
next week? You mean?
Well, if even if for next week or so, I could send it to you, and then you could probably see if you could share it.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah. Well, blogging God just come in and say both JLP and PNP wreck the country. So therefore, if that's the case, if both of them mash up the country, that means to say that the people have to take it back. Yeah, that's what happened. The people have to take it back as much as possible. My good friend Matunda Makula was talking recently, and they were saying that on the panel there's a guy who is leaning a particular way, whereby there's certain books, certain laws which are on the books in Jamaica that the person may want to take off, But and that's why I want to have that discussion and have that interview, and it's there. What is the remit of the Constitution? What's the remit of this whole thing? And that's going to be the most important and key thing. Yeah. So that's it. Biggest letdown is have MP who do not have our best in heart. Business when are greedy. All right.
that is, you see,
Yeah.
things in Jamaica will not change. It's not going to change too soon. You know why? Just on the basic reason of what blogging God just said,
Mm,
right? Businessmen are greedy.
yes.
Businessmen and MPs have been greedy. They've carried Jamaica down. They've just been there for themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, they've just
Mm,
been there for themselves. Some of these MPs of the past, they're the ones that let in the guns into the country.
yes. Well, like
Th-
this, as we
They are
said.
the ones
Mm,
who have helped to export the drugs and to bring the drugs in. So
yes.
so you see, it's not going to change.
Yeah. Well, it will have to change, Gary. We're going to speak those words of power and those words of life in Jamaica. And what was the word I started off with? I started off the word today with, I know the plans I have for you. God must have some plans for Jamaica, man. a big plan
Listen,
for Jamaica as well.
okay, God has big plans for Jamaica, and
Yeah,
I hope it comes to fruition, but it's not going to happen too soon. It's
too
not going to
soon.
happen. I'm
Yeah,
going to prophesy and say that because that's what because that's what to me, and I know people out there. I understand if you don't like the word Christians, and you
yes,
may have an affront to that. You may have serious issues about Christianity, and I can't say anything
mm,
against that or in favor of that because you may
yeah,
have had a bad experience, but just like some other countries in the world today, it's not going to happen too time soon.
mm.
Not too soon because of what has been earmarked for this world and for mankind, really, for man. So I don't want to start preaching on your
No,
show.
no, 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 no. You need to preach
You
the good news. No, no, no. I mean that is why we discussed God and government, because God and government in a way would sort of give some guidance as to how long do we think this world is going to be? What is the priorities of this world as well? What is the
well,
priorities? You know?
blogging God. You haven't put up what he said here. He says here, when you go there on the island itself, um, a lot has changed for the better. Many things are pushing for better government. Yes, but he's
Yeah.
also saying here, it's changing because there's a new generation that's coming on board.
Mm,
Now I understand that there's a new generation. I understand that there are new thoughts. Our children and the younger grands are coming in with new thoughts, but at the same time, it's I think those new ways of thinking and thoughts are tainted with corruption also, because some of these guys are some of them there are just there for themselves also.
yes. Yes. All right, Gary. Let's wrap up now. 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I believe there's a new shift, and as what Lester says, when there's a new generation of people coming up, it happens every seasons, generations they come up. But there's one thing that I know at the same time is that guidance is needed along the way. That is why you got the elders. The elders play a fundamental role in the whole process, and the youthful zeal sometimes can be taken out of control. But I always remember Manley was young, PJ was young, all of these guys were young. Siaga was young, and they all started young, and they had the opportunity to make or to break, right? And therefore, the youths who are coming up now, they should have the opportunity to make or to break and to hear what they have to say as well. Anyway, we're going to have some more discussion on this. Gary, have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Um,
Take care.
and we will talk again on this one. And Saturday night, talk and sip. We will look at some of these topics. All right, Gary.
Bless you.
Bless you. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining, and thank you for those on Instagram, those on YouTube, and those on Facebook. Remember to like and subscribe to the show, and those on Facilitators for Better Jamaica. If you're there and you've seen the topics which I've posted, to see how we can create some sort of discussions and some synergy on those particular topics, and the ones on the Jamaica to be a republic, which I'll be formulating some sort of discussions and some sort of shows on that to support the diaspora and in their perspective, and hopefully to get the minister and different key persons to have a one-to-one discussion, not a debate, but a one-to-one discussion as to the plans for Jamaica afoot, and how people can be involved, and how people can actually play a part in the process. And somehow, as someone said to me earlier today, I said to the person, who is the protector of the people? And he said, there's none. There's no protector of the people when it comes on to formulating and changing constitution and all those sort of things. And as I always say, in 5, 6 years time or so, most of these persons may not be around, but those who are coming up will have to live with the decisions that they have made. So therefore it is important for everyone to play a part in the decision. And the bit about the referendum, a referendum is crucial as well. So yep, so that's a big deal. And have a good one, and may God bless you.